Yeah, we're definitely finishing this tonight. We're getting out of Lynn with this one. Let's go. Hopefully this won't be like really fast, like a half-hour stream. I hope I didn't only leave like a half-hour story, because that would kind of suck. All right, let's go. Nun trauma time. Oh god, I forgot this loud game. Okay. I wanted to say something to apologize, even though I had no idea what I would be apologizing for. Yeah, Margaret was just crying on the steps, right? Something about this impromptu cask-smashing ritual bothered her, although I had no idea what had prompted a reaction this strong. Marta was closely connected to the wine, after all, and she had merely given us all a stern goodbye. Margaret looked to be in pieces, however. I felt awful. I did not get a chance to say anything, though. Catherine coaxed her friend away privately, and they disappeared up the staircase into the darkness, while the rest of us said awkward farewells. Oh, hey! That's a kind of a freaky sprite. It's just wine, but it's a little scary. A long night, I think. Was smashing all those a bit gauche? Disrespectful to Catherine's memory, perhaps? You know what this is suggesting to me? This is suggesting to me that James's cloak was not actually covered in blood. Maybe it was covered in wine somehow, for some reason. That's what this is suggesting to me. I didn't intend it that way. Hopefully she understands that. Though, it could have another bit of symbolism in that whatever happened to Catherine, perhaps all of her sisters have Catherine's blood on their hands. Perhaps everyone is at fault for whoever killed Catherine. We don't know yet, though. We don't know. It was a good idea, Sister Eustace. We climbed the staircase together, then turned back towards the cellars to admire our handiwork. Moira started giggling. The Superior is going to kill us. Let her try. That was the most spiritually satisfying thing I've done in ages. Ah! Sister Flora! What about Flora? She did not get a chance to join us. It was her actions that inspired the whole exercise. We should find her. There's one cask of Catherine's awful sherry left, I believe. I suppose that'd only be fair. Good thinking. I'll check the cloister and the garden. Maybe she's just getting some fresh air. I will scour the dorms and kitchens. I'll make a round of the grounds. Hedwig? I'll search wherever is left. The chapel? Adela can cover the chapel. That's closer to the kitchens. You should check the rest of the upstairs, maybe? The hallways and such. By my old cell? Exactly. Let's meet back here once we've finished looking, I did not adore this idea, but I wasn't about to argue with Eustace in front of Adela and Moira. Why do I get the feeling that something fucked up is going to happen immediately? We traipsed up the stairs and went our separate ways. Eustace was still carrying the sword with her, swinging it idly at her side as if it were any old thing. As I found myself alone in the dark passageways, I began to wish I had a weapon as well. That hot rush of power holding that sword had rapidly dissolved in the cold night air. I walked down the hall towards the intersection I had seen Eustace's horrible ghost visage with caution. The wind was picking up. I could hear that big door rattling again in the distance. I thought about peeking outside, but there was no chance that Flora was out on the wall when it was this cold and windy. That's how I excused myself anyway. In truth, I did not want to be startled by the door slamming again. Flora? I turned the corner away from the door. Flora? I could hear something strange underneath the wind. It was higher pitched and irregular in rhythm. It came from down the dark passageway to my cell. I braved a few steps forward to confirm it. I was sure of it. The sound got louder the further I walked. The hair on the back of my neck stood up straight. If Eustace was busy in the garden, then there was no way this could be a tired retread of her old jokes. It was an unearthly wail. It echoed around the whole hall, bouncing from wall to wall, pillar to pillar. I thought about the passageway Margaret had shown me. The demonic circle etched into the stone. Ah! Hey, don't fucking jump scare me like that! Fuck you! The bar guest. I cannot bear it one moment longer. I turned tail and sprinted out of the hall. Whatever that noise was, I told myself, it couldn't have been her. What if it was? What if it was? No joy? Eustace was already waiting when I arrived back at the cellar staircase. I shook my head as I came to a stop. Nothing, I'm afraid. I couldn't find her either. It's too dark to see out there without a proper torch, and all I had was a little candle. I doubt she's outside at all, to be honest. It's too damn cold. It is, isn't it? We stood in silence for a moment. I trust tonight gave you some catharsis? Oh, very much so. Good. I think we can call that the end of it. She looked down the stairs into the darkness. Goodbye, Catherine. I didn't know what to say. She had pivoted from slightly threatening to slightly forlorn so quickly I had no recourse. I think breaking the casks was a very sweet idea. Do you? That's good. I didn't take you as someone for impromptu ritual. No, but this felt right. It did, didn't it? I said whatever I could to steer the conversation away from where this started. I wanted Eustace to be satisfied that I would adhere to her request to stop searching. I did not want to have to lie about it out loud again. Adela arrived next. She was alone as well. I could not find her. Me either! Moira was just behind Adela, jogging back to our meeting spot. Oh well, we tried. That's likely good enough. Agreed! I would have felt bad if we did not at least make an effort. I do hope she's somewhere safe. This is a big Abby, and she is a crafty young woman. I am not worried. She is sulking. She probably does not want to be found. True. It's very late. We should call it a night. Laura will find her way to bed, I'm sure. The Superior is already going to have a conniption when she sees the state of the cellars. I dread to think what she'll do if we all sleep through service. Yes, we can't miss service! Something happened to Flora. Something fucking happened to Flora! Flora's dead as shit! Flora's dead as fuck! We all walked upstairs back to the dorms in silence. We said our goodnights in the dorm hall and retired to our separate rooms. For once, I fell asleep swiftly, but morning came far too soon. I think sleeping at all made things worse for me, truth be told. Have you ever had that experience? I can stay awake for quite a long time if I have to. But if I fall asleep, I need a proper full night of rest. I groaned when I woke up. I don't know how long I'd even managed to sleep for. I got dressed and stuck my head out into the hallway, and my heart sank. There was no activity in the hall, and a few doors were ajar. I was late for service. I scurried down the stairs as quickly as I could. The rain clouds that had been looming last night had finally broken. I could see a dotted black line of nuns entering the chapel ahead of me. I thanked God that it wasn't too late. As I made my way inside, I sensed that the mood was grim. Sorry. I looked around at everyone. The sisters looked slightly haggard and paler than was usual. Nobody was speaking. I did not see Flora anywhere. My heart sank. Margaret was sitting near the front of the chapel, her head resting on her closed fists. She had evidently gotten here first. I'm sorry, everyone. I volunteered to ring the bells this morning, but I forgot. She was staring straight ahead at something. Everyone looked so upset I half expected to see a dead body lying on the altar as I got closer. However, Margaret was staring dead ahead at a crumpled pile of wooden wreckage sitting on the floor in front of her. The portative organ. Oh, Margaret. I was trying to fix it. There was this piece that Catherine and I would always take out for a laugh. I know you all know. And I thought to myself recently, this joke is wearing a bit thin. Maybe it's not the best time. I came back in here to pop the missing piece back in and... crash. Ha ha ha. Nobody spoke. Are you going to tell her? God, no. If one of you wants to sell me out, feel free. But I'm not going to get myself in trouble. The gathered sisters awkwardly took their seats in the pews. We waited for a while, listening to the sound of the rain. I was trying to do something nice. And then it fell. I can't complain, I suppose. The door finally swung open again. I turned around to see the bishop holding it open for the superior. She glowered as she strode forward. Each of her footsteps echoed with a terrible and heavy thud against the chapel floor. After what felt like hours, she stopped in the middle of the room to address the women sitting in the pews. Sister Flora is missing. If anyone would like to claim credit for hiding her away somewhere, I would ask that you speak up now. I will be just and fair. I understand that this would not be the first time a practical joke went too far. Nobody spoke. I assume the mess in the cellars has something to do with it. I am offering clemency. Will nobody take responsibility for their actions? Very well. Should your consciences recover, you may reclaim some decency by confessing to me privately in my office after service. She looked around the chapel sternly. Everyone averted their gaze. God, I feel uncomfortable. I feel uncomfortable. With a sharp sigh, she moved forward toward the altar. Each footstep echoed terribly in my head. I could see Margaret tensing up ahead of me. There was a pause. Oh, hell! Everyone jumped. The superior had seen the portative organ. She flew up the steps to the altar in a rage. Margaret? Catherine? Which one of you was it? Silence. Eustace? Who did it? I know it was one of you! The room was utterly airless. It had to be someone here. We don't have ghosts here, nor spirits, bargaists, or any other devilish creatures. I know it had to be someone in this room. Who else could it have been, You all protect each other. Don't for 1 second think I cannot see it. I scarcely know this place anymore. You all hide every aspect of it from me. It matters not if it's a missing bread roll, or a piece of my portative organ, or a murdered sister! Superior, are you not feeling well? No, Sister Moira, I am not feeling well. My youngest charge is missing. I pray to God that she hasn't met the same fate as Sister Catherine. And do you know why I pray? Because I have a congregation of rats gnawing at my ankles. There is nothing you will allow me to do. I am supposed to be in charge. I am Mother Superior. But I understand who is really in control here. It is not me, it is all of you. Each and every one of you spend your days trying to find the cleverest little ways to defy my wishes and orders. Perhaps we should take a moment to calm ourselves. Perhaps try to put this instrument of yours back together. I'm sure this young sister is simply playing truant. The superior raised a silencing hand to the bishop, who looked dismayed. Is it very hard living here? Is it so difficult not having to want for anything? To not have to throw yourselves at some awful man or beg for money on the street? This place gives you everything. I give you everything, but it's never enough. You all have the run of the place for almost every hour of every day, but the barest of responsibilities, the smallest courtesies, are too great and ask for you. Oh no, you could not possibly spend 30 miserable minutes listening to some liturgical music. You undoubtedly all have pressing plans today. I am certain they're important, drinking yourselves into a stupor in the Misericorde, perhaps. Or are you all waiting to dance around Flora's body trussed up like a maypole? I have turned a blind eye to all manner of vices in my tenure here. Do not pretend I am unaware. Manly, selfish sodomites? A lot of you. Goddamn, Jesus! What? What the fuck? She loomed over the altar, breathing raggedly. Her eyes darted between all of the women present, who squirmed uncomfortably and looked away. I just can't bear being treated this way any longer. Could any of you? How many of you could stand to live the way you all conspired to make me live? I took a peek into the cellars this morning. Broken barrels, wine all over the floor. It stunk to high heaven. I could deal with that on its own. I wouldn't stop you all from having your fun. But where is Flora? What happened? Will no one come forward? Very well. She stepped down from the altar. The bishop made to follow her. He looked gravely concerned. The superior looked straight ahead as she strode defiantly out of the chapel. Service is concluded. Do whatever you like. Mabel. The bishop turned around as he reached the door. He shot an apologetic glance around the room, then bounded after the superior as they swung shut. We were left in the dark. Sorry. I was a bit preoccupied last night. Where is Flora? An uneasy feeling was starting to build in the room. We don't know. We looked for her last night after everyone left the cellar. We thought she should have a turn smashing the barrels with us. Don't you dare blame me. I wouldn't dream of it. I don't like this. Me either. If she left of her own accord, Flora is responsible for her own choices. She may be the youngest of us, but she is 19 years of age. Lyra would have a family by now were she not here. Responsibilities. She ran off after Marta hit her. Don't you dare blame me for this. I wouldn't dream of it. Thank you for setting me straight, Eustace. I merely assumed, as I was not there. Are you really going to make this about your lack of invitation? As if you would have enjoyed it. That is not what we are discussing. No, but you thought you could sneak in a complaint or two because you're an annoying Quiet! Charity stepped up to the altar. She looked rather commanding and deadly serious. Listen to yourselves! There's only one thing that should be on anyone's mind right now. Finding Sister Flora. Her question was met with a unanimous mumble of acknowledgement. Last night it sounds like a few people poked around looking for her. But now all of us are here. No fighting now. We're on the same side, aren't we? Let's split up and search this whole damn place for our Flora. At the very least, I would be able to show the superior we can take care of our own. Another approving murmur. What was that passage Catherine liked to quote at times like this? Pacta est autem et contentio enter eos, quis eorum videritur esse major. I was taken aback. What on earth did Luke have to do with this? Nevertheless, I was impressed with the ease with which Eustace recited the scripture. At illi dixerunt, Domine, ecce duo gladi hic, at ille dixit eis, satis est. Everyone murmured satis est along with her. That is enough. Lovely. Off we go then! We all filed out of the church. There was an odd energy about, a sense of purpose. I was not entirely sure what had just transpired. I was turning those words from Luke over and over in my head as we began spreading throughout the cloister. Why that passage? What did those words mean to these women? And what did they have to do with finding a missing girl? I don't know what those words mean. I feel like if they translated those words immediately, it might be like a spoiler. It might make things too obvious. I wonder if that's what it is. I was baffled, but I was at least relieved to be free from the confines of the chapel. I decided to begin my search in the garden. Most of the others, it seemed, were headed towards the main building. I really did hope Flora was safe. But right now, I just wanted to be alone. I had had quite enough group discussion for one morning. Even in the rain, the flowers were quite lovely. They bounced up and down as raindrops hit them. There was a faint and pleasant rustling all throughout the grounds. I walked up and down the hedgerows. I was not sure what to expect. Would Flora jump out from behind a bush? Was I likely to find her sulking in a bed of carrots? I began to feel quite guilty. I wasn't helping. I was taking a relaxing stroll amongst the flowers. Meow! Campy had emerged from underneath a thicket in front of me. Seemingly unbothered by the rain, it sat in my path and leveled a curious stare my way. Go on. Shoo. He'll catch cold in this weather. Do cats catch colds? The cat flicked its tail back and forth and stared at me. It looked thoughtful. Does this cat know where Flora is? This is Flora's cat. Does the cat know where Flora is? I felt like I was being sized up. I suppose I should thank you. You took the blame for the ink bottle after all. Yes, I was losing my grip on things a bit, wasn't I? Talking to a cat. What was I thinking? It seemed to understand me, however, because vermin share a secret language. Oh, ooh, Hedwig, no! It walked forward and rubbed itself against my ankles, disappearing under my robe for just a moment. Ugh, don't touch me. I hopped to the side. The little creature trotted back to where I'd been sitting before, only this time it didn't look at me. It turned its gaze up into the air and began to make an unpleasant chittering sound. I tilted my head up to see what it was looking at. I half expected to see those mysterious pennants again, but there was nothing. Only rain clouds and passing birds. When I looked down, the cat was gone. I sighed and peered into the sky once more, just in case I had missed whatever the little creature had seen. There was nothing amidst the clouds. However, out of the corner of my eye, I saw something on the parapet overlooking the garden. Oh no! Oh no! There it was again, looking straight at me. I bolted back the way I'd come, through the bushes and hedges. I hoped I could disappear in the flowers. When I stopped to catch my breath, I looked back at the building in the distance. It was gone. I was safe from whatever it was. For the time being, anyway. Enjoy the violets while you can. It'll snow soon. Oh, hello, Eustace. Has Flora been found? No. I just needed a break. I've been all around the grounds. Then I went to look in the library, but it's been locked since last night. No way Flora could be in there, thankfully. I was half expecting to find her scribbling rude drawings into your chronicles. I'm not worried about that. I doubt anyone would want to tamper with my writing. Eustace pantomimed a mock shiver. Horrible. I always worry about that. Hours of work undone. Right. Well, a break can do a lot of good. Perhaps we'll think of somewhere else to look. We stood and admired the flowers together. I've been meaning to ask you, how are you taking to chronicling? I can't help but notice that you still tend to finish quite early. Oh, it's been no problem. I'm sure I'll come into my own once I've had a little more time practicing the fundamentals. As long as nothing's bothering you. I know we made up on the cart ride, but... Oh, no, not at all. I haven't given our little spat a second thought. Well, that's good. I really am sorry about all that. Her expression stayed as inscrutable as ever. There's no need. Sister Eustace, I have been sad about something else. Flora will turn up. No, it's not that. I'm afraid Sister Catherine II, she has not left my thoughts even though I was not party to the event. Forgive me if I'm going in circles here, but I've still been hearing so much about her, but at the very same time, very little. If that makes any sort of sense. It does, although it doesn't surprise me. You weren't here. I mean, you were, but you weren't. You don't really understand what she meant to us. You should be glad of that. Keep it that way. Hedwig, you must be exceedingly careful. This isn't the first time you've cautioned me. What do you really mean? I don't think I need to say more. I am afraid you must. Eustace gave me a piercing look for a few moments, but then relented with a small sigh. Listen, I don't intend to be rude about it. You and I are very similar in some regards. Were you anchored at some point? No. But we both bristle easily at misunderstanding, don't we? I cannot disagree. Conversation is difficult. I understand. I can sense the questions you're dancing around while talking to me, hoping that I'll answer without you asking. I just don't want you to wander into a situation you can't handle with someone else here. I can't fault your curiosity, but you must understand that losing Catherine II was shocking in many ways for many people for many reasons. Reasons that someone not deeply embedded in Limbarrow could never understand. And you're worried I'll upset someone? More or less. I'm only trying to help you. I keep finding you swinging sticks around wasps' nests. Do I come across that way? A little girl swinging a toy sword around? Yes. The Superior meant well, but she had a bit too much faith in her own clever idea, I think. I was able to figure out what you were up to. Someone else might catch up. How can I not ask after Catherine? She is nowhere, but she is everywhere. She has been brought up to me several times without me asking. She's inescapable. Even if I wasn't charged to investigate her death, I would have heard about her and I would have been curious. I never even saw her body. I have no idea what she looked like. But nonetheless, everyone here has painted a picture of her in my mind. Listen, if it helps, you can just ask me. Ask anything you'd like. You don't have to try and bait it out of me. What happened? The day it all happened. Well, I had gotten up early to do some work in the library. Sister Charity found the body on her morning walk. She was beside herself. Catherine's body was in the middle of the cloister. She'd been beheaded, although later we discovered that wasn't her only wound. Evidently, there was a struggle between her and her attacker. Of course, we didn't have time to sit around and speculate. Marta comforted Charity while the rest of us scrambled around looking for the killer. I checked upstairs in the Misericorde and library. I reasoned that those might be good hiding places. I remember Darcy checked the dormitories. It was a day like any other. It felt strange. As if we were all still working as normal, off doing our separate tasks. It was just a morning at the Abbey. When I couldn't find anyone in the library, I went downstairs to the Superior's office. Apparently, I was the first to think of letting her know. She and Angela were still preparing for the morning's liturgy, but as soon as I told her what was happening, she joined the search. Eventually, we ran out of places to look that weren't already covered. I remember passing Adela coming up from the cellars, shaking her head. The Superior, Moira, and I attended to the body while the search continued throughout the grounds. We took Catherine's body into the chapel and laid her under the altar and covered her with a blanket until we could arrange a burial. It is probably for the best that Moira and I handled it. I think the two of us have the strongest constitutions out of anyone here. Eventually, Sister Angela hauled a young man in on his ear, who I vaguely recognized as being our delivery boy. She said that she'd found him hiding in the east grounds. I stressed that it was normal for him to be here in the mornings and that the commotion could have just scared him, but then Darcy wandered in holding his traveling cloak. It was covered in blood. She said she had seen it in his cart, and that was that. The Superior and Moira dragged the fellow to the hospitalum, and here we are with a new chronicler. The cloak in the cart screams framing to me. That screams framing. That screams framing to me. They took him straight to the hospitalum? Immediately. Everyone looked ready to tear him to pieces. You should have heard what some of the sisters were shouting as the Superior left. It just doesn't seem right, although I suppose it was better to lock him away in a dungeon than leave him at everyone's mercy. I spoke to him, you know, in the hospitalum. I know he could be a simple liar, but he pleaded so earnestly. It felt so strange. It doesn't feel right to keep him there. Why does the hospitalum have a dungeon? Eustace's eyes narrowed. She stepped towards me without warning, pushing me into the flower bush uncomfortably. Hedwig, listen to me very closely. I thought I had made it clear, but apparently I am not getting through. Be careful. She had me by the scruff of my robe, and even though she was slightly shorter than me, I felt terribly threatened. Why can't you trust me? I'm doing everything in my power to help you. Laura wasn't careful, and look where we are now. Huh? Eustace? What? I do not want to see anyone else get hurt. I do not want to see you fall victim to your own meddling. I need you to stay out of this. I don't know what you're talking about. Eustace, stay out of it. Leave it alone. Her words seemed to echo around the garden for a few moments. Her demand even scared some of the birds away. Finally, she stepped off. She brushed off her robe, still looking at me intensely. You have to trust me. Whatever the Superior is putting you up to, you need to stop it. Please don't misunderstand me, Hedwig. I am on your side. Do you believe James killed her? Hedwig. Do you believe it? No. Then surely you understand that I can't just... I can sympathize, but you need to let it go. Are you trying to find the truth as well? Maybe we could work together. The most helpful thing you can do right now is nothing at all. So you're just going to let him take the blame? You'd let Catherine die in vain? You are treading on dangerous ground. Do you think me uncaring? Do you think this is easy? I think Catherine would have wanted justice to be done. You don't know a fucking thing about Sister Catherine. Not a thing. So don't pretend you know anything about what she would have wanted or what justice for her would look like. I know plenty. I know she was good at chess. I know she was a sharp reader, and I know she had a keen sense of what is and isn't fair. I heard about her letters to France and her thoughts on money. I know she fancied herself a warrior and tried to teach you all how to fight. I know she wanted everyone to try new things and think about what they could do with their time on God's earth. And I know she liked plays. All of that is correct. But it's like you said before. You know so much, but altogether very, very little. Well then, what am I missing? I know that she's someone who wouldn't just be left in the lurch by her friends. I know people loved her. Surely that's enough. That is only half of it. Hedwig, think about it. Everyone here loved her, is that it? Has everyone been sharing stories about how wonderful she is? Of course! And you don't believe James killed her? You don't believe it was some random murder? Neither do you! And that's just it. Hedwig, if that man didn't kill her, then someone here did. Not a ghost, not a bear, one of the sisters here. And that means that the things people loved about her, that's only half the story. You're saying someone is lying to me? You will never find an answer because you will never fully grasp what her relationships here were like. I just want the truth. For her sake. Eustace began to chuckle and then laughed heartily. I was stunned. This is in very poor taste. I'm not laughing at you. What's gotten into you? How could I possibly convey everything I know you don't? The idea that you'd understand is just... Oh yes, you're very proud of how intelligent you are, aren't you? The thought of explaining what I know to someone who wasn't there. You didn't see her lying there. You can't possibly know. Eustace? She was doubled over laughing now. It was a disturbing sight to say the least, but it was her own words that truly got under my skin. You didn't see your friend covered in blood. What would you know about it? All you've ever done is read books. All you ever do is speculate. I don't like this, Sprite. You're poking around in stories you have no stake in. Events you weren't there for. Isn't that right? Are you quite alright? You don't even know what she looked like! I saw her with my own eyes! Her head in her hands, blood all over the place. I cleaned it all up. I was her dearest confidant, and I couldn't stop it. And you think you could do better? I didn't mean to. I didn't know what to do. I tried my best to assume a comforting stance, some sort of embrace. Although my arms never made it around Eustace's body. She jerked her head back and began to dry heave between her humorless, maniacal laughs. I carried her by her legs with Moira. Like two ale wenches carrying a drunkard home, her head kept falling off. Can you imagine it? Your friend's severed head rolling off of her chest, bouncing on the stone, over and over, down the chapel's front stairs. Stop it. You've made your point. And you know what? For as brave a face as I put on, as stoic as I have to stay even now, even I could not shake the feeling that even through her dead eyes, that she was looking straight at me. Stop! How perfectly horrible it all was. Just the idea is devastating. Is it? Well, I saw it. I touched it. I was there. Her hollow laughs had given way to bitter, dry sobs. I tried to pat her on the back, or something of the sort. Anything that might comfort her. She stood up straight as soon as I touched her, brushing me away. Promise me you will stay out of it. Please. Eustace, this mess, it's too much for me to bear. I do understand the extent of it all. I was present for the whole affair, and I can't bring myself to do anything about it. I don't know who could be watching. I don't know what else might happen. Maybe that's why I can help. Why I should help. Eustace shook her head. No, there's nothing you can do. Nothing? I'm all ready. You don't know how much progress I've already made. It can't be much if you're still standing here. What's that supposed to mean? Whatever sort of conspiracy is playing out here, it would have to be all-consuming. I knew the instant the Superior announced you'd be joining us that it must have something to do with Catherine. If it was that obvious to me, I know that I'm being watched. I've seen someone. Perhaps more than one person. I don't know for certain. Figures in the shadows. That's always been me. My stupid practical joke. I did that to scare you off. But it didn't work, clearly. Maybe some of them, but I know it hasn't always been you. How? How could you possibly convince yourself of such a ridiculous... Because I just saw them. She suddenly went very pale. You, on the top of the wall, not a quarter of an hour ago. Unless you can be in two places at once, it could possibly have been you. Eustace wiped her face with her sleeve. Maybe that was someone else I put up to it to scare you. Maybe this is all another trick of mine. I do not believe it is. Then you should take my warnings even more seriously. Are there ghosts here? Devils? The owner, thank you for the sub! Theo Einer. I don't know, but I know there is some malevolence at work in this place that is real. It is hurting people, killing them. And I'm trying to help you stay out of its gaze. Your concern is noted. I know it's a dark force at work in this place. It killed Catherine and it's taken Flora. On that we can agree. But I'm not just doing this for the Superior. If Flora never showed her face here again, how would you feel? If you have any decency, you must feel wretched just imagining it. I feel that way about Catherine, and I never met her. All I have is one of her books and some of your stories. So I know you must feel worse than I do. I'm scared witless by the shadow I worry is creeping in the shadows. But it would be worse to ignore it. And I'm not going to let it stop me. Not them, nor you. I will not let the devil win. I held no blade in my hands, but at that moment, I felt like I could have taken on an army by myself. I breezed past a dumbfounded Eustace back towards the Abbey. I put her behind me and walked as fast as I could. I could hear her shouting behind me as I put distance between us. Eustace, Angela, the Superior, they were all making demands of me. But I served one and one alone. Hedwig! Leave it be! Leave it alone! Hedwig! Listen to me! Huh? Oh, God. Oh, God. I have a feeling that whatever is going to happen next, I'm going to fucking lose my mind. The search continued well into the evening. As darkness fell, the weather turned foul. It was pouring now, and the stone walls rumbled as rolling thunder shook the mountain itself. We had all gathered in the chapel again. From a quick glance around the room, I gathered that everyone had returned empty-handed. Charity took the altar again, looking grim. No joy? That is rather worrying. We've looked everywhere. I explored places I had never been before. Everyone had put in a lot of work, it seemed. There had been no time to relax or get changed. Some of our frocks were still covered in wine. It would have been motivating had the situation been slightly less grim. The determination I had felt after my conversation with Eustace was being tested. I wanted to blurt out that I had a good idea of where Flora might be. We could all walk down that hallway together. Surely there was nothing so frightening down there that nearly a dozen women could not face. But if someone here were responsible for some grand plan that I did not understand, Would I just be putting Flora in more danger? Would I be placing myself in harm's way? Appearing too observant, too clever? I could make myself the next target if I spoke up now. I tried not to think about which of these two arguments swayed me more. Stressing over my plan was putting my stomach in knots. I hoped someone else might suggest what I could not, but that was never going to happen. My cell was not and had not been, never been on anyone's mind. My cell had never been in any of these women's hearts. As I looked around the room, I noticed that Marta was standing off to the side of the chapel alone. She looked gaunt and weak. I had been constantly surprised by her vigor up until now, but for the first time she looked her age. Well, is there anywhere that has not been scoured? The cellars, the croft? Those were my first ideas. I see. And I know Adela looked in the same places after I did. I think that all of us may have individually checked everywhere, one after the other. We've all doubled up. I do not doubt that people have put their back into it, just... Oh, I am worried. I really hope she is safe. If only we had looked a little harder last night. It's not your fault. Missing for one night, that's just acting out. Missing for 2 nights. We have done everything we can today, I'm afraid. I think we all need to rest and try again tomorrow. My feet are killing me. No! We have to keep looking! I understand how seriously we're all taking this, but we should take a breather. A night's sleep is what we all need right now. We'll expand out beyond the grounds tomorrow, I think. I don't need any of you falling asleep and rolling down the hill. Flora missing is quite enough, thank you. Everyone seemed to agree, albeit reluctantly. When I had left Eustace in the garden, a plan had formed in my mind. I had a sneaking suspicion where Flora was, but I dared not share it with the rest of the sisters. There was a place I was certain nobody had checked. A place I knew even Margaret had likely avoided, even if she had considered it the magic seal. The magic seal. The thought terrified me, but I knew I had to check. For Flora's sake. We all filed out of the chapel back towards the dorms through the storm. I really hope she isn't out in this weather. If she is, I would wager she is safe. She was young and resourceful. Remember when Catherine taught us all how to make fires? I do. You're right, she's probably having a more comfortable night than us. Adela rubbed Moira's shoulder reassuringly, then broke off to go and talk to Angela. Should someone tell the superior what we did today? I wouldn't. I went to try and talk to her earlier, and I could hear her sobbing, even through that thick door of hers. I imagine she's getting shouted at by the bishop all day. I don't think we should talk to her until we have good news. Oh dear. Oh dear. Everything sucks! Everything sucks! The moment I sat down on my bed, I had a sinking feeling that I was not going to be able to sleep before I got a chance to test my theory. I could just sense it. No, my bones told me. I sighed and rolled onto my back fully dressed. I stared at the ceiling for a while. The thick stone walls gave us a great deal of privacy, and I had to strain to hear the slightest indication that the others were getting ready for bed. I thought about cracking open the copy of Medea that Catherine had written for me, but I remembered the subject matter and decided now was not the right time. I said a little prayer, asking for some guidance. No wisdom came to me. But then I sheepishly remembered that I had been granted an entire vision not long ago. As always, I was asking far too much and doing far too little. For at least an hour, I stewed in my own thoughts. I tossed and turned, trying to find a position in my bed that didn't get uncomfortable after a few minutes. I scratched itches that weren't really there and attempted to fluff my pillow into a shape that would grant me sleep the instant my head touched it. I just started getting comfortable, I swear, when I heard a strange sound carrying on outside my door. I hopped out of bed and stepped out into the hall. It was almost pitch black out here, save for the embers pulsing in the fireplace. Nobody else, it seemed, was bothered enough by the noise to poke their head out like I had. I sighed. I hoped dimly that it had been Flora returning to her dorm. I retrieved and lit a candle from the mantelpiece. There was no use torturing myself in bed any longer. Now, which room was Flora's? I knew Catherine's room was next to mine and had the squeaking door. I remembered Moira's room had inky paw prints leading out of it next to Catherine's. Darcy's was on the very end of my row, closest to the hearth. I chanced a door I couldn't place. I felt so nosy, but if I could spare myself a horrid adventure into that hall. Ever so gently, I pushed the unfamiliar door with my finger. I realized this was not a particularly wise idea. The door swung inward. Not only was it rude, it was conspicuous. I pushed this door in just a little more before thinking better of it. Just before I relented, however, I caught something odd. I could hear at least 2 people breathing on the other side of this door. They must have been discussing where else to look for Flora, I reasoned, and gone late into the night out of concern. Or perhaps, a darker voice in the back of my head suggested, they had been scheming on what cruelties to enact on her next. Just then I heard a startling sound. It had come from far away, but even so, it was blood-curdling. I scampered out of the dormitories and onto the landing. I did my best to steel myself. If only I had thought to demand Eustace lend me the sword when I had found the courage to stand up to her in the garden. The pricket would have to do. I heard it again. This time, it was mixed with that same hair-raising whine I'd heard in my cell's hallway. My heart stopped. That was definitely a woman yelling. Screaming? I panicked. Was I too late? I had not told any of the others about my theory. Flora was hiding in my own old cell. None of them could know. If Flora was a target of someone's dark machinations, the way Catherine had been, I had to be the one to find her. I picked up my pace and jogged towards the dark hallway crossing. The huge door was rattling in the wind again, but that wasn't the source of the sound I was chasing. It was definitely coming from the darkest hall, the one my cell was in. The one that evil sigil was in. I froze for a moment, unsure what to do. The pride I had felt deducing the one place nobody would have thought to check had been enough to make me forget about that. The pricket spike could defend me in a pinch if I were face to face with Flora's human attacker. But if it were some devil summoned by that magic circle, could I go down there alone? Should I rouse the superior? Did I have time to rouse anyone? There was that horrible wail again. It gave me my answer. However small, however vulnerable, however powerless I felt, I knew that there was no time to double back. Demonic sigils be damned! I was a woman of faith. I could withstand whatever it summoned. I sprinted down the hall into the darkness. My candle blew out almost instantly, but I didn't have time to care. I ripped the wax off of the pricket to expose the sharp point. It wasn't much, but this would have to serve as my sword for now. I rushed headlong toward the terrible sound, clutching the candle pricket with both hands as if I were wielding a mighty claymore. Oh my fucking god! Ah! Fuck you! A face rushed out of the darkness. Hedwig! Run! It all happened too quickly for me to register that I had been correct. Flora blew past me, nearly knocking me over. I did not have time to ask what was happening. I could hear the terrifying stomp of those boots echoing throughout the halls. We sprinted through the black hall to the dim light ahead of us and turned toward the giant rattling door. Flora bolted straight at it, past the hallway that would take us back toward the dorms. Where are you going? Away from here! I was about to break left through the dormitories, but then I saw exactly why Flora had avoided that path. I caught a glimpse of evil eyes and felt the dull thud of metal boots against the floor close by. Flora's pursuer had navigated to cut us off. I screamed and sprinted as fast as I could after Flora. We made it to the door. I didn't even want to think about how close her pursuer was. Where were you? What's happening? Help me open this! Now! She was pushing against the imposing door with all her might, but it wouldn't budge. I threw my meager weight against the edge of it to try and help, but it was so heavy I felt like I might as well have been pushing against a stone wall. The wind was pressing it shut, and 2 small women whose shoes were slipping over the flagstone floor weren't doing much to combat it. My fingers were in danger of being caught in the jam every time the door buckled, but I kept pushing. I turned my head and caught a glimpse of the monster bearing down on us. It was as tall and terrible as I remembered, but this time it was enveloped in a cloud of smoke. Embers crackled around its soulless eyes. There was no oiled sword this time. This monster brought the very fires of hell with it. Eustace! This isn't funny! Even though I knew it couldn't be here, I pleaded just in case. I still had a dim hope that this was just another prank, that Eustace had been telling the truth after all. But the creature was unmoved. The giant oaken door finally swung open just enough for me to slip through. I turned to try and yank Flora out with me, grabbing a handful of whatever cloth I could find as I made it outside. But the door caught her foot as I pulled her through. Help! I held onto her free hand with both of mine. She yelped, and I could tell that monster on the other side of the threshold had grabbed onto her. Don't let go! I won't! I won't! Her face contorted and twisted as the door squeezed her ankle. At the very least, it was doing enough to keep the demon from pulling her away from me. Had it not been for that massive slab of wood, I doubt I would have been able to help at all. Hedwig! The wind let up for a moment, and the sudden lack of force set us both off balance as the weight of the door lifted. We fell down, and the door swung open just far enough for me to see that our attacker had let go of Flora as well. She was scrambling towards me on all fours, but the beast lurched forward to snatch her again. I held my hands out again to hold onto the poor girl's arm. Her fingers gripped my frock, and I held her wrist as tightly as I could, but I knew I could not combat this monster alone. The wind suddenly picked up again, and just as both of us got hold of Flora, the door slammed shut again with a sickening crunch. I had managed to pull Flora clear of the beast's lunge, but I hadn't been fast enough to keep her leg from being crushed by the door. Oh fuck. Holy shit. She wailed as I attempted to pull her free. I couldn't manage it, and I was terrified that the door would pull her broken leg right off if I yanked any harder. Pull! Pull! I can't! Is it still holding on to you? I don't know. I can't feel anything. She was sobbing and screaming. I planted my feet against the wall and pulled her toward me. By some miracle, the wind let up just enough for the door to loosen its grip on Flora's leg. We tumbled backwards into a heap. My head hit the floor of a crack, and for a moment my vision faded. My eyes slowly regained focus, and I looked up into the threshold. The twisted creature was looming over us. I closed my eyes once more and braced myself for the end, and hoped, despite everything, that I would see heaven. But death never came. When I opened my eyes, the monster was gone. The door swung shut, again, slower this time. The wind was still blowing, but it had died down just a little. Flora wasn't moving. I shook her gently in an attempt to rouse her. There. I think it's gone. She did not answer. I held onto her tight and stared up into the night sky. What a mess I had made of everything. Raindrops pelted my face. I knew I had to move, but I was wholly leaden. The events of the past few weeks and their brutal dismantling of my steady faith were weighing me down. I scarcely recognized myself, and I actively tried to reject the situation I found myself in. The pain in the back of my head was getting unbearable. I squeezed my eyes shut. I am dreaming, I remember thinking. This is not real. Those cards even told me. No, I could not consider pagan frivolities. I was a faithful anchoress. I was simply having a long, horrible nightmare. Another vision. When you open your eyes again, I told myself, you will be home. You'll be back in your cell, dry and warm, your oath intact. And maybe you'll be able to try it all over again. I had no such luck. Fuck! Fuck! No! No! Jesus fucking Christ! This fucking game! What is going on? What was that thing? Was it actually a devil? Is this actually supernatural? I can't fucking tell anymore. If she is dead, there is no one to corroborate Hedwig's story. She may be blamed for Flora's death. I really hope that is not the case. I really hope that is not the case. I'm pretty sure she just passed out from the pain from her fucking leg getting crushed. This fucking cliffhanger, I'm gonna die. Oh man, the special thanks is longer than the actual credits. Is this like Kickstarters or Patreon or something? I don't know. Holy fuck. God, I cannot even explain to you how engaged I was that entire story. I promise you, when Volume 2 comes out, it'll be day one. Day one, I need to know. I need to know. We don't know when Part 2 is happening. There's been a trailer. There was a trailer released like on Halloween, I want to say. But I don't know when Volume 2 is coming out. Maybe we can watch the trailer together. Okay, I found it. We can watch it once the credits are over. I don't even know who to suspect. I can't decide if the Mother Superior should be suspected. I can't help but notice that the last book that Catherine transcribed, the book she was going to give to Hedwig, was on the subject of a mother killing her children. Can that really be a coincidence? We still don't know who delivered Hedwig's copy of Matthew to her cell. We don't know who did that. We don't know who the shadows were outside her window, or on the second floor of the cloister, or atop the walls just this day. And there seems to be some deep, dark secret about everyone's relationships with Catherine. We all only knew how they loved her, but apparently maybe we didn't know how they hated her. There's so fucking much left unsaid. A huge thank you to everyone and anyone who made a stock image, recording, or tool that was used in this production. You made this solo project possible. Yeah. I can't even imagine how hard it must have been to pull all of this together. There's more to Medea's story than just being a mom that killed her kids. She was taking revenge against her husband for being an oath breaker. I wonder if that has anything to do with it. This has been the most engaging stream I've watched in a while, and your other streams are already engaging. I'm really glad to hear that. I really thought that like everyone would be like, "What the fuck is this bitch doing? Does this bitch think that it's a fucking ASMR streamer now? What is it doing? Reading a book? Where's the video game?" I'm just glad that there were people that were happy to hear and follow along, and that were engaged just like I was. That makes me very happy to hear. I promise when part 2 comes out, We're doing that shit. England, 1483. Wait, what's happening? It is growing rather late, isn't it? I apologize, but I think I will leave my story there for tonight. I did not cover anything close to what I consider the full story, but it is a rather exciting place to leave things, is it not? Even if you know what happens, there's still a sense of, oh, I don't know. I felt something recalling these misadventures even though I had lived them. Do you know how things turned out? No, don't tell me who you are. I am getting some enjoyment out of imagining telling this story to an impartial audience. Please don't be frustrated with me for stopping here when my investigation just barely started. I promise you that all of these details are important. I may not have realized it at the time. In fact, I only just noticed the importance of some things after speaking them out loud to you. So really, I must thank you. May I confide something in you? This is the first time that I feel like I understand the job of a chronicler. Or rather, I finally have something worth chronicling. And someone to tell those chronicles to. It's a shame that it took so long for me to feel inspired. And that these are such awful events. But I suppose that the worst events are the ones that need the best records. Would you agree? In that spirit, I can offer you some of my notes. I believe I have some from the appropriate time I can share with you. Here. There aren't much, but you can peruse these while I prepare for our next meeting. Anyway, I must rest. We can continue this soon. Thank you for listening to me prattle on and on. I'll be ready to share more before you know it. Can we look at those notes? Oh, look at this. Gallery. Well, this would have been helpful when I was making thumbnails. God damn! Look at this. Characters. Hedwig, former anchoress, current spy, Matthew 2652. Yeah? Hang on. Matthew 2652. Live by the sword, die by the sword. That's not ominous at all. The full verse is, Then said Jesus unto him, Put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Catherine. The friendship that was cut before I could fully bloom. I've never seen her face and I miss her dearly. I've heard so much about her good works, but I have so many questions about what seem to be her flaws. I feel ghastly picking her over the remains of her relationships, but I suppose it has to be done. Yeah, these are from the point of view of Hedwig. This is these are our notes. I must remain polite as I write this. I respect the work that goes into running an abbey greatly. I understand her desire to find justice in a terrible situation. Catherine is boorish and vain, but worst of all, she is incredibly clever. She is clearly impulsive, as evidenced by facts I am too pure to write. I'm unsure how sincere her eulogy for Catherine was. She makes it sound like they had a very competitive friendship. There are also rumors about her life before the abbey that give me pause. Dabbler. Quiet, calm, and very talented. At first I was at a loss as to how she and Catherine could be such close friends, but they both have a wicked sense of humor. They're too clever by half. Margaret knows all of the passageways around the abbey. She also showed me a terrible etching deep within the walls. She and Catherine seem to have been very close. I'm not sure what to make of my colleague. Her flat effect makes it difficult to understand what she really thinks. We do not share the same sense of humor, and she can be cruel, but so can I am discovering, and Eustace is very forgiving. She knows something I do not. I am worried what that might be. She knows a lot of shit! Lynbarrow's own little Hildegard. She cooks, she brews, she cares for all of the plants and animals. I must admit I didn't expect any of that from her when we first met. Her manner of speaking is even flatter than Eustace's. Perhaps that is why they get along. Darcy is also by far the most honest about her complex relationship with Catherine. I really hope it wasn't her. Oh Lord, please grant me the strength to turn the other cheek. I do not like or trust this woman. She is from a convent in Italy. I wish she would go back there. Jesus Christ! I take a small amount of comfort knowing I'm not the only one who cannot stand her. Catherine in particular seems to despise her. I don't think she killed Catherine, but I know precious little about the relationship. I have to imagine it was as combative as ours. Moira is very kind and strong. Catherine's death moved her deeply. I'm impressed by her knowledge and the amount of work she is responsible for around the Abbey. She doesn't like the villagers much. She was the most recent oblate before I was made to leave my cell. I believe she said she was from Spain, but her mother is Italian. She hasn't said much about Catherine to me yet. She's much more interested in battle strategy. Flora is frustrating. Later today, I'm to begin teaching her how to draw. I'm not sure I can. I've never taught anyone anything so directly. I'm more adept at offering spiritual advice. She doesn't seem to take her faith seriously, which concerns me. The eldest member of the congregation, but not the superior. I wonder why that is. I suppose she could be a latecomer to Lynbarrow. Her and Charity both seem to have moved around a lot. At first, I thought she was kind and wise, but the more I hear from her, the more uneasy I am around her. She is wise, but she is cold. Some of her behavior reminds me of my most vindictive thoughts, which embarrasses and humbles me. Charity is gregarious and kind. She discovered Catherine's body, and I can scarcely bring myself to ask her about all that whenever I see her big, soft smile. She seems to have seen a lot in her life, and she's served at several abbeys. I wonder why she settled here. I also wonder how she puts up with Marta's cynical exterior. We haven't spoken much, save for her reassurance about Angela. He is rather pathetic. I do find it hard to believe he killed anyone. His family seems willing to believe it, however. I'm not sure what to make of that. I feel compelled to protect him. This man made me an anchoress. I cannot look at him without wondering how disappointed he must be in me for allowing myself to be dragged out of my cell. And this is all of the music. Genesis, basic, elementary. Okay. Hang on, can I Okay. Last thing we're gonna do. We're gonna look at the trailer. Did you check out the gallery? I did! Hello, creator of this game. Welcome to the chat. I did indeed check out the gallery. I wish I had it earlier to help me make the thumbnails for the YouTube VODs. But I saw the art. I did indeed. It is very good. Wait, hang on. I should be reading this. Fuck, I got distracted. Okay. Hang on. Hello again. I feel that I owe you an apology for my lateness. I left our story in quite a precarious spot, didn't I? I cannot pretend that my decision to end things there had... Ah! Hang on. I cannot pretend that my decision to end things there had nothing to do with theatrics. However... Okay, this is all from part 1. This is all part 1 shit. As I'm sure you can understand, recounting these horrible events has been rather... taxing. Yeah, no shit! This shit's traumatic! Oh god. What? Hang on. I don't like that. Is it another vision? Is that another vision? Oh boy. It is only going to get more difficult from here, I'm afraid. Oh dear. More difficult for me to say. Okay. Oh, hang on. I want to analyze this trailer to see if Flora is fucking alive. More difficult for you to hear. More difficult for both of us to believe. Oh, color. Hang on. Actual color. What could this mean? I don't like that. Sometimes I scarcely recognize my own memories, my own behavior. Sometimes kinder. Oh, wait, hang on. Oh, man. Oh, this looks like it's like out of a fucking Renaissance painting. Look at this. Sometimes crueler. Is this Hedwig choking Angela? This kind of looks like Hedwig choking Angela, which, you know, understandable. But always, always stranger. I love the shots that are from the point of view of Hedwig. Wait, hang on. What the fuck was that? Oh, I don't like this. Oh, this is trippy. I'm doing my best to sort through it all for you. I'm trying to read all the lines. I heard we might be getting some new oblets. What? New characters? New characters? Oh, I didn't like that. That was the fishing episode. Hang on, the pausing isn't working. I need a treat. Darcy, treat for Darcy. Treat for Darcy. I'm noticing a distinct lack of flora, chat. Some of it is harrowing, some of it is tawdry, and some of it seems impossible. I wonder if we're ever gonna see Eustace without her veil on. I guess we technically did, but we didn't see her face. If you can be patient just a little longer, I think I can give you something accurate and edifying. I'll keep working safe here in my cell. Why is she in her cell? Where I belong. White wool and snow. Oh, is winter coming? I bet that's it. I'll be ready soon. When it's finished. No, that's not her talking. That's just the that's the release date when it's finished. Okay. Well, now that I was asked if I looked at the gallery, I'm wondering if I maybe missed something in the gallery. Hang on. I still fucking hate this thing, by the way. Take a poke around the gallery. All right, I'm poking. I'm poking. The chromatic aberration here leads me to believe that perhaps this is another vision, because all of the art around when Hedwig had her vision also had chromatic aberration. Or at least the parade part. I want to know what's going on with Margaret. Shout out to Darcy, the best. The moral backbone of this abbey. Okay. Here's the sword. I'm noticing a bit of chromatic aberration here too. I wonder if it means anything. Maybe the hottest thing in this game. Wait, this is new. This is Eustace with cat. Oh, maybe this was planned but not used. Was this not used? Hey, what the fuck? Oh, steady on. That never happened, did it? No, it did not, ma'am! I'd say it was my mistake, but it wasn't really. I might have let it slip on purpose. She hates it when I fiddle with her hobbies. Can you believe that? It's a bit rude not to share, especially with dear, close friends. Even ruder to hide from friends, if you ask me. We're due for a reunion, I think. Oh, thanks to you. Don't look so nervous. You've helped me, and I'm a very generous woman. Is this Catherine? Is this Catherine? I can tell you like to read. At least, I hope you do if you made it this far. How about a little more? I think you'll find this interesting. I found it lying around somewhere or other. I don't know if it's entirely accurate, but what is? Huh? Huh? Wait, what? What the fuck? Wait, what? Is this bitch time traveling? I need to know how canon this is. I need to know how relevant this is to the plot. Is this just like a little Easter egg, or does this actually have any plot relevancy? Ma'am, I would really appreciate it if we could avoid causing a scene. I bought this ticket! This is bullshit! Ma'am, please. I ain't stopping you from getting on the plane. I'm just warning you that you may need to remove your piercings to get through security. Why? Are they gonna reflect off the rearview mirror? Are they gonna mess with the radar? Do they look explosive or something? Sweetie, can you not say the X word so loud? You're making the other people in line nervous. Sorry, which word? Explosive? A few of the other clerks next to the woman I was speaking to glanced over, eyebrows raised. I was getting a kick out of making these people squirm, I gotta admit. But it was beyond bullshit that I was being told to remove my piercing just to go through airport security. Yes! Stop saying so loud! Or at all! Not to mention your jacket. After typing hastily into her terminal for a few more seconds, the woman finally handed back my passport. My ticket sputtered out of a loud machine, and I snatched it before she had a chance to take it. Have a pleasant flight. I do apologize if I caused any offense by commenting on your jewelry and stuff. Something tells me you don't warn everything about the metal detector. Just trying to be helpful, ma'am. I rolled my eyes and stepped away. It was a good thing I'd gotten to the airport early. Chat! What the Christ? I was hungry as fuck. I heaved my backpack onto my shoulders and set off towards my terminal. I figured I'd at least have time to grab a snack before I got on the plane. There was a decent amount of folks in line to get through the detector. I can't tell you how wrong it is to see color backgrounds. Not to mention the different font. It feels so wrong. The line moved quick, so when I got to the security guy, he sort of gave me this oh great look. All metal objects in the bin with your bag, please. I rolled my eyes and started de-chroming myself. Studded bracelets off, nose ring off, earrings out, vest off, more studs. This lady sounds cool as hell, by the way. Now, why the hell would you wear all that to the airport? Man, shut up. The guard raised his eyebrows and opened his mouth to say something, but quickly stopped when he saw me lean over to rest one arm against the x-ray machine next to the metal detector and reach down to my leg. Ugh. I probably should have opted for one of the wheelchairs outside the terminal to get around the airport, but fuck it. I had a lot of energy ahead of this trip and I wanted to travel light. I dunked my leg into the bin with the rest of my shit and hopped towards the guard. Oh, wow. Oh, my God. I'm gonna do a little spin thing through it. The guy stepped back a bit to let me put one arm through the metal detector, then jumped through it to rest both arms against the conveyor belt that fed out of the x-ray machine. Slick. A few people waiting in line behind me clapped. And then everyone clapped. I rolled my eyes. My bag and bits came through across the belt. I took a second to put myself back together and to thank God that none of my other piercing had set the machine off. When I was putting my jacket back on, the guard commented on my back patch. I don't know if I'd wear that to the airport. Gonna do something about it? He laughed. Easy, easy. You're at, like, here. He held his hand up in the air. And I'm like, way down here. Where are you flying? The UK. Oh, yeah, you're gonna need to come way down from up there. That's a long flight. What's it to you? He was waving more people through as I put my studs and rings back on. Nothing at all. I just don't like seeing people fly mad. Not sure that's your jurisdiction, cop. This lady is the coolest lady I've ever heard. I'm a cop? Do you think you're not a cop? You got a real boring beat for a cop. You got a badge and everything. It's a private security gig, ma'am. So you're like a mall cop. Man, I wish. They get to walk more, I think. Yeah, well, still a cop. How many of those doodads and piercings do you have, anyway? More than you'll ever see. Oh, okay. Alright. Ma'am, I promise you, I am not bringing the hostility to this conversation that you are perceiving. Sorry. It's just, you know. Do I? It was hard not to grin at this guy, profession aside. Cop. Folks were passing by and taking their bags as the guard waved them through. What's your name? Alex. Is that real, or is that just what you tell cops? Nah, that's real. I don't tell cops anything. See, that's good. You're opening a dialogue. Not real cops. Ouch. No, see, that's good. Damn, I feel like Jimmy Carter. What does that even mean? I don't think I'm old enough for this joke. I don't know what this means. We're building a real framework for peace here. Oh, that's what it means. Okay, all right. Thank you for explaining the joke, Mr. Security Guard. I appreciate it. Man, fuck off with that. Shoot, I've got you back up again after all that. Look, I don't know what any of that political shit means. I just hear the news in the break room sometimes. It is what it is, I guess. I finally finished getting my shit together and turned away from the conversation to head toward the terminal. Have a good flight now, ma'am. Uh-huh. Look, I don't have time right now. But if I ever see you again, I'm gonna recommend you some books to explain some stuff, alright? I winced as soon as the word spilled out. It sounded cooler in my head. How? I don't know, but I swear it did. Okay, then. Looking forward to it. This is probably the most interesting thing that's happened to this guy all day, probably. Weirdo. Even with all those distractions, I'd ended up with some time before my flight. I figured I'd grab a burger or something, go over my itinerary, etc., etc. The fast food place was pretty busy, but the line moved quick enough, and I soon had a nice bag of garbage to fuel me through an international flight. Shit, I want some garbage now. There weren't any free tables, but there was an empty bar stool near the front of the place, at the long table where all the single travelers were eating. Or at least it would have been empty if there wasn't a handbag on it. You good if I sit here? Of course! My stool was in the corner next to the wall. My neighbor was a preppy-looking woman wearing a purple knitted turtleneck. She had a pair of those big hoop earrings, bright red lipstick, stick-on nails, bangs that covered her eyes. Bangs that covered her eyes. That was the weird nun that we just saw before this whole sequence. Not really my scene, but fuck it. I wasn't going to eat standing up. She lifted the bag up onto the table and drummed her fingers against the seat. The red pleather was faded and cracked, and when I got up close, I could see that the bar stools and table were covered in rude graffiti. Thanks. My pleasure, darling. Where are you headed? Burger Town. There it is! There's Burger Town, chat! She chuckled as I unwrapped my food. Didn't know they had an airport there. England. Oh, now that's funny. Me as well. Gate 17. At 3 o'clock. That's the one. Small world. You going home, or? Did me accent give it away? She definitely played it up a little for that response. Good to know it's back to normal, then. I could have passed for a real valley girl before I got to the terminal. I always pick up a bit of local flavor from wherever I'm visiting. This feels like a modern version of Catherine somehow. And Catherine was Irish, wasn't she? So you, like, got your English voice back when you started thinking about home? That's cool. Something like that. It's all a bit mental. I can say that here, of course. That's ruder in the UK. Yeah? Claire, is mental rude in the UK? You shouldn't say mental. And trucks are lorries. Oh, and do you smoke? What gave it away? Well, try not to get cross if anyone offers you. Chill! Chill! I knew that one. Whoa! Right. I gotcha. Well, that's good then. She looked real pleased with herself. I never had much patience for people who like testing boundaries for fun, but I had nowhere else to go. Besides, who knows who else I would meet if I left? I was running into some real head cases today. Visiting family, then? Yeah. Whereabouts, if you don't mind my asking? Up north a ways? I've got a long-ass bus ride once I get to Heathrow. Isn't it funny how big a place like that can feel? Sure, you could probably fit in Cali, right? Oh, easily. Do you mind if I steal a chip? Huh? Oh, my mistake. A fry. Oh, sure. Thank you kindly. The press-on nails didn't help, but I felt a little freaked out watching her pluck exactly one fry out of the box with her long fingers. It kind of looked like one of those nature shows where an eagle pulls the guts out of a fish or something. Wow, active imagination, huh? She ate it very carefully. I guess she had to. Her lipstick was pretty intense, and there wasn't a crumb or spot of grease or anything on her expensive-looking outfit. I do quite like those. Terrible for me, of course, but what isn't, eh? It's what I can afford. Flights ain't cheap, turns out. Too right. She sucked her finger and thumb clean and dried them on one of my napkins. Well, safe travels. Yeah, sure. Thanks. She smiled at me and slid off her bar stool with a clack. I realized she was wearing expensive heels, too expensive for anyone I've ever seen eating shit fast food at Lax. I could hear every footstep across the tile floor as she left. I finished my burger and stuffed all the crap in the paper bag to throw away. As I got off the seat, I realized that woman's handbag was still on the counter. Oh, fuck. I really didn't feel like running errands, but if we were gonna be on the same flight... I took the bag and got going towards the gate. I must have spent way too long eating that shitty burger because when I finally got to the gate, they were already boarding. Technically, I think I was supposed to get on the plane first. Oh, well. Guess I can't do that if I ain't there. Just so you know, ma'am, you can only put one bag under the seat. Yeah, got it. I almost said that the handbag wasn't mine, but I realized that was probably not the best thing to tell someone right before getting on a plane. Have you ever been on a plane? It was my first time. It feels weird on planes. As soon as you step in it, it feels like the air is constantly being sucked away from you. Which I guess it kind of is. That's how the air conditioning or whatever works. Lax is usually pronounced L-A-X. Well, it is unusually pronounced lax. It's like you're yawning even when you're not yawning. Like you've got earplugs in even though you don't. It feels like dog shit, that's for sure. I was looking around for the woman I'd met at the fast food place, but I couldn't see her anywhere. Everyone was standing in the aisles, putting their bags away, taking their jackets and sweaters off, etc., etc. It was going to be impossible to find her. Ma'am, I'm sorry, but you're going to need to make some room. Do you need help finding your seat? Huh? Oh, no, sorry about that. Well, shit. I wasn't far from my seat, but I was real nervous about keeping this lady's bag with me. What if I got all the way to a foreign country of someone else's shit? What if she'd been wrong about what flight she was on? Would that be, like, an international crime? The last thing I needed was Interpol coming after my ass over some rich lady's handbag. I sat down in my window seat and tried to stay calm. I figured I could at least wait until we were in the air and I could walk around to make sure she wasn't on the flight before panicking too hard. Now, here's a coincidence. Oh, thank God. Hey, you left your bag on the table earlier. She put her hands over her chest and opened her mouth like a fish. Oh my God, thank you. I would have been proper devote if I'd left it behind. What is this word? I've never seen this word before. She sat down next to me and I handed her the bag. She started reaching around inside it, I guess to check if anything had gotten lost. Whew, oh, here. Then she pulled out a fat wad of bills and a money clip. Let's see. Oh no, you don't got it. She licked her thumb, peeled off a small stack of bills and handed them to me. Don't be silly. This is 250 bucks. Pounds, love. But yeah, a little pocket money for your trip, yeah? Well, thanks. Not at all. Thanks for bringing me bag. I knew you were all right when I first saw you. I'm sorry that I cannot do the proper accent, chat. I feel like I will be killed instantly if I try. Weird. What a coincidence we're in the same row, eh? Guess so. I wanted something in the smoking section. Oh, hi, me as well. I take it you don't mind then. Nah, go for it. She reached back into her bag and pulled out the most ridiculous pack of cigs I'd ever seen. The whole box was gold. Her lighter was almost a perfect match. The hell are those? Do you not get these here? Maybe, but I've never seen them. She held the box out to me and shook it so exactly one cig stuck out. Don't know how long she'd practiced that one, but it was impressive. Threatened murder doesn't stop you from doing a southern accent. The difference is that I'm actually kind of good at the southern accent. That's the difference. Or at least I feel more confident doing it. Have you seen any of the adverts for these? No. They're very chic. Go on then, try it. I'd be curious to know what you think. What's your huge? You're huge! I usually smoke whatever low tars I can get my hands on. Gotcha. Not a big brand follower? Nah. Me either, typically. Some people like to pit them against each other, but I'll try anything as long as I like the look. Must be nice. She held her ridiculous lighter out to me. The cig she'd given me. I don't know if I'd call it good, but it sure tasted more expensive than my usual. Okay. There's no way smoking is allowed on planes, right? Like, there isn't even a smoking section on planes, right? Like that is just not a fucking thing anywhere on the planet, right? I'm pretty sure. Like watches. Do you know anything about watches? I know they're for telling the time. I held up my wrist to show her my cheap digital watch. She exhaled smoke but didn't respond. Sort of. I mean, they are, but they aren't. You know what I mean? They're jewelry, really. You should get a nicer one. They're way too expensive. My dad has one from some spy movie he liked as a kid. Was banned in the US in 1988. Is this far in the past? I guess I haven't really, well, no. Okay. The fact that security was the way that it was led me to believe that this is like post 9/11. But you know what? Actually, this game wields anachronism like a fine scalpel between the setting of the nuns and the way that they talk. So, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if this is doing the same thing. I asked how much it cost one time, and I was so mad when he told me. Oh, does he now? That'll be nice. That'll be a proper automatic. Digitals are so much cheaper. I'm a bit biased, I suppose. Wait, what was that? It went back to question mark. What was that? It wasn't Alex anymore. Wait, why'd it go back to question mark? She held up her arm and pulled her sweater's sleeve down to reveal her own watch. It was bright gold, although the dial was a shocking pink that I wouldn't have associated with a luxury brand name inlaid in gold. Holy shit. Why is this back to question mark? How much was that? I don't know, actually. Got this one instead of cash for some work I did a while back. Okay, I've gotta ask. What do you do? Okay, now it's back to Alex. Okay, was that maybe like an error? Or was it actually significant? I don't know. Suppose I'd call myself a flaneur. Flaneur, if anything. A passant, if we're being grammatically correct. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. So you're professionally French? She laughed. She leaned back in her seat and flicked up the little ashtray in the armrest so she could ash her cigarette. Technically, I'm in publishing. A bit of a location scout, I think, is the best way to describe it. I take special assignments. I travel a lot. I enjoy people watching. I have no idea publishers could afford that kind of lifestyle. There's loads of people out there buying books not to not read, love. I laughed. Fair enough. So what have you actually read? I'd be curious to know if you've seen any of mine. Like, I've skimmed Capital. Haven't we all? I don't know that book. I like Chomsky. Like Noam Chomsky? Any fiction? I don't have time for fiction. Oh, that stings. If I'm reading something, I want it to matter. I can do other stuff for fun, I guess. She nodded thoughtfully. The captain came over the loudspeaker and announced something. It was impossible to tell what exactly thanks to the shitty mic. Plus, books are expensive. I've got to pick stuff that counts. I feel like I know how every story is gonna go the second I read the first sentence. She pointed at me with her cigarette approvingly. We're not so different then. I just come down on the other end, I suppose. But I get it. Who needs a book to tell you what you already know? That's why I prefer fiction myself. Maybe you just need to read different kinds of fiction. I never know what I'm going to get. So, what kind of books do you publish anyway? I'm not the publisher. I'm just in publishing. So you're the heiress to a publishing company or something? She gave me a wicked grin. Like I said, I'd call myself a flaneur. Okay, I need to Google that word. Hang on. An idler or a lounger. Hang on. an ambivalent figure of urban affluence and modernity, representing the ability to wander detached from society with no other purpose than to be an acute observer of industrialized contemporary life. Okay, so just a rich person that does jack shit but spend money and go places, I guess. A passant, if we're being grammatically correct. It was around this point that the plane's engine started up. We put our cigarettes out and adjusted our seats to get ready for takeoff. You ever been on a plane before? First time. Red? I don't like red! I don't like red! Don't let the bumpiness get to you. 500 years hence, see you soon. Huh? What? Is it here now? No, it's not. What the fuck was that? What was it? Was that significant at all? Again, the weird lady felt a lot like Catherine. She reminded me of Catherine. I don't know what Alex's deal is. Is there gonna be like a continuation to this weird fucking other story in volume 2, I wonder? What happens if I go back to that image? Where was it? I hate that. Cat. Okay, this is just... Okay, this is just the same one. Okay, this is definitely that woman. This is definitely that woman. She has the hair in front of her eyes. Okay, we don't have to read this again. Okay. Keep looking through the gallery, IMO? You think so? I'd be really surprised if there was more than one secret. Yeah, that's Marta and Charity sitting down. Can I actually scroll this one? No, I can't. You can see the whole thing here. That's the fucking creepy demon. Oh, I hate it. I hate this one too. Ah! Okay, alright. This was the pudding. Okay, I think that's everything. Yeah, that's everything. This one fucking freaked me out. This one made me real uncomfortable. Okay, alright. Chat, that is it for volume 1 of Misericorde. Creator of this game, I have to say, I fucking love this story so far. I need to know what is going to happen next. I'm very much looking forward to volume 2. This was very engaging. I just could not tear my eyes away. Okay. Alright, everyone! Thank you very much for watching. I will see you all later. I don't know what I'm going to stream next, but it will be something. Have a good afternoon, everyone. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.